Cheers brewers, welcome to Little John's, and I'm in the kitchen today for Extractaganza. I think this is number 10. Yeah, we're working our way through these kits bit by bit. Anyway, as you've probably seen a little while back, I've decided to bring in some slight changes to Extractaganza. So just to make things a little bit more interesting for myself and hopefully for you guys at home, and also hopefully to bring a little bit more interest into some of these beers and bring them up a little bit, make them a little bit more drinkable and enjoyable. So one of the easiest way to make brewing beer easier and enjoyable is to enjoy your home brew while you're doing it. Right, so what we're doing today, that fella, Black Rock Pale Ale. So I'm going to be doing this one up. I'm going to do the split batches I normally would, but I'm going to do half the batch is just going to be with some dextrose and some malt, just a basic in between mix of the two. So get a nice balance of malt and dex and see where that comes up. And I'm going to do the other half. I'm going to do some extras just to try and bring it up a little bit more. So first thing I want to do is get this fella soaking in some hot water. As always, fuck your yeast off. And tin into the sink of hot water just to soften up a little bit. Now, so what I'll be adding to the other half of this beer is some grain, a little bit of hop. I'm still going to use a little bit of dry malt and a little bit of dextrose, but less than the basic half, but it's more about getting some lifts. So I've got about 4 litres of water over here, which I've brought up to a temperature. Exactly what temperature, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Hopefully it's about, let's say 64 degrees. Happy enough with that. I'm going to stick that on there. So, 4 litres of water, dechlorinated, all that sort of nonsense already. Got myself a hot bag here with a little bit of grain. In she goes. And I'll grab this trusty old stirring paddle. Give that grain a bit of a stir. There we go. Just like so. Lid on. Now, what's in that grain is 600 grams of pale ale malt. In this case, it's a Barrett Burston, so it's just a cheap Aussie ale malt, and 130 grams of caramel light, which is just a step up above a Carapils. So it's quite light, but adds just a little bit more depth of flavour, a little bit more interest. So there's not a lot, and that's all there is in the way of the grains. So I'm not putting anything in here to really drag up too much additional flavour. It's about enhancing what's there. It's a pale ale, it's a light beer. I've looked up this tin on the Black Rock site, and apparently it's made from 100% Pilsner malt, so it's going to be a very light pale ale. So I want to keep to the core of the beer. I don't want to go changing it too much. So this is just enough to lift those malty tones a little bit already. So again, remember this is half a batch. So if this was a full batch, if you're doing a full tin at home, you'd be doing 1.2 kilos of the pale ale and about 260 grams of the caramel light to do this. Okay, I'm also going to add a little bit of malt and a bit of dex, but we'll do that down the track a little bit. So right now I'm going to let this sit, as I said, about 64 degrees. Ideally you want this in that mid-60s range. Now I am trying to get a mash happening here. This isn't just a steep. Because I'm using the grain here to get the bulk of our fermentables. I'm not using too much extra stuff, so I need to get sugars out of this. So I need to be doing a mash. So it's sort of a mini mash going on, and that's what the pale ale malt is for. That will give us enzymes to make sure the caramel light also converts. Okay, so we need to be in that 60 to 70 range, ideally in the middle. Going to let that sit for half an hour. I'll put my timer on, and that will be plenty of time for that to convert and do what it needs to do. Okay, while that's happening, like I said, tin sitting there softening up. I'll give this about probably 20-22 minutes, and I'll come back and I'm going to start throwing together the fermenter, topping it up, and then we'll look at how we've finished this one off. In the meantime, I'm going to sit down and have myself a beer. Righto. This has been sitting for 30 minutes. Half an hour for those who can't count in fucking minutes. Don't laugh, there's people out there. Anyway, so I'm happy with that. I checked on temperature sort of 2 times as we went along, and we were sitting around 62, 63 degrees, so I'm nice and happy with that. Now I'm trying to get a bit of this out, and I probably should have grabbed myself some gloves or my rack, but silly boy. Anyway, done. Now I want to get that onto a boil. So I'm going to add some hops to that. Now, while that comes to a boil, I'm going to get our tin into the fermenter. Now, I've got fermenter here. I've got 16 litres of water in this. I'm going to add the can to that, mix it up, and transfer this into the 2 cornies, which I'd normally use for fermenting. And then I'm going to add the malts and whatnot to bring it up to final volume. Yeah, I'm not going to run any boiling water through this one today. Make sure I get everything out. It's actually coming out pretty good, so I'm happy enough with that. Alright, that's good. So that's now at 18 litres, which is nice. So that means I can get 2 lots of 9 litres out of this, which will leave me the 2 litres to mix the balance in. Okay, we're at a boil over here. Now I just want to boil this for about 5 minutes just to make sure anything nasty on the grain is dead before adding into the brew. I'm going to go and get our fermenters while that's happening. Okay, that's boiled for 5 minutes, so turned it off. What I'm going to do now is add some hops to that. Now what I've got here is 15 grams each of Kohatu and Raku, 2 New Zealand hops. I'm assuming, well not assuming, I know that the Black Rock can uses Pacific Gem and Green Bullet hops, which are pretty much Kiwi hops. Well, Kiwi, of our Kiwi origin anyway. So these 2 hops are both quite fruity. They range in the nice tropical stone fruit sort of range. I think the Raku gives a little bit of florally and piney notes. I think the 2 will work nice together. So 15 grams of each. So if you're doing a full batch, it's going to be 30 grams of each. And just dump them in. Nothing fancy. I want them left in there because they're going to sit in the ferment. Spoon's in there, don't need it. No, we'll get him out. Okay, so this is going to go in the laundry, into the laundry tub, just in a bit of a water bath, just to cool down. So about 10-15 minutes, so I'll do that and be back. Okay, now while that fella's cooling, I'm going to mix up our first half, which is our basic mix. So, don't take too much notice of exactly how I'm doing this. It's more about the actual measurements and the ingredients, because normally you just dump the stuff straight in the fermenter, you mix up and you go along. But I can't do that because this isn't an even mix. So normally I'd mix the base in here, split and add a little bit of difference, but I can't with this fella. So I'm going to get about 9 litres out of here. So I want 11 and a half final, so I'm going to need another 2 litres with some malt to balance out. All good. So got me potty, I've got about 1.5 litres of water in here. I'm going to add to that 300 grams of light dry malt. Now, again, this is half a batch, done your full batch it's 600. And also 300 grams of dextrose. And, well, and I'll just mix that in nicely. That's dissolved nice for me, I'm happy with that. Reasonably well, 1 or 2 little drops. Now, because I'm doing it this way, I'm not going to be able to get a reading on this, so I've run this number through the spreadsheet, and it gives me a starting gravity of about 1037, 1038. So I'll keep that number for later down the track when we finish ferment, but that's where we're at. So that fella's ready. Grab me keg. 19 litre cornies as per normal. Now to get this in here without spilling it bloody absolutely everywhere, funnel would have been good, but well, let's see how good I can be. Well, I didn't miss much. They're pretty good. I've certainly put a lot more on the floor at different times, and I still might yet. And that's just the balance of that 2 litres. Get the last of it out of there. And it also gives me another chance to spill some more on the floor. Bloody all good. Bit of practice. Now this is where I will spill some on the floor, no doubt. So I'm going to take 9 litres out of here, top that. And that's a good place, that's going to give us a good aeration. Alright, that's us done. That is our standard mix. So just a straight up kit mix. I'm going to grab myself a little bit of yeast here. 1 gram per litre of USO5. Keeping it simple on the yeast on this fella. And the reality is there's not really anything that's going to be any better suited to this particular style. And that's just going straight in. And that's her. So that's our standard Blackrock New Zealand Pale Ale. Well, it doesn't say New Zealand Pale Ale, but our Blackrock Pale Ale done. So I'll get that out of the garage while we wait for the other half to get ready. Righto, that's cooled an amount. It's not as cool as it could be. It's not all the way down, but I'll just hold back on pitching yeast on this one a little bit till it cools. But let's get our additions in here. So what I've got is 100 grams of light dry malt. So as I said, we've used the grain to get most of our malt presence for this half. And we've got 200 grams of Dex. Into here, mix that up. Yeah. As I said, I wanted to change up this Extractaganza a little bit, make things a little bit more interesting for myself. Certainly done that. Been a little fiddly than I think. Oh, I sort of knew it'd be fiddly. But, yeah. This is the joy of doing anything where you're splitting stuff. And as I said, normally it's just straight down the middle, it's easy and you split simple, but this is a little bit more, this is certainly more difficult. But it's all good. It's taken me an hour and 20 minutes from start. You know, still not been a long process. So as I said, if you're looking at, you know, making your brews a little bit better, then this is certainly an option. So this will now go straight in the fermenter. I want to get that a good mix because I want to get an actual gravity reading on this. Okay, it's telling me it's at 24 degrees, which is good because that means I can actually pitch yeast now and not have to wait till later. 24 is fine. So get me a hydrometer. Rightio. Hydrometer. Yeah. We've got about 12 litres there, which is a little over the half, but anyway, it's all good. Okay, so that's nice, a bit murky from the hops, but you can see it's quite a light looking brew. It's certainly not going to have a lot of colour or malt presence, I don't think. Righto, where are we? 10. Let's call that 1040. So we've ended up pretty much around that kit starting point, which is well after. I didn't want to, you know, make it maybe 1041. Didn't want to make it a bigger beer. It was the same beer, but just with a bit more character and a bit more flavour. So that's all good. Put that in the other keg. Drop 11 grams of yeast on this one as well. Get it in the fridge. I will be fermenting both of these, as always, under a little bit of pressure. I'll let them run for a couple of days, then build the pressure up for bottling. So, but we'll be fermenting at, let's run this. I'm going to run this one at 18 degrees. Yeah, we'll go 18. No, let's go 17. I'll confirm that when I come back. Okay, so guys, I'll see you shortly. In about 8 weeks' time when we're getting a taster on this one. See you then. Right, folks. Time to do a taster on this fella. I've poured some glasses from these small bottles that I've packaged up. They've been quite highly carbonated, which is what I was sort of after. They were kegs were at 16 psi. The keg the corny fermenters were at 16 psi before a cold crash. Trying to get a good carbonation level. It certainly has done that. There's good gas in these. They've got a nice frothy head, if anything a little bit too frothy. That's more from the just the slightly elevated carbonation. Probably could have been a little bit lower, but it's where we're at. So, kit version started at 1038, finished at 1010 for an ABV of 3.7%. That's a kit. Bottle straight off the keg, so there's no priming in that. So that's 1.2 kilos of fermentables, 600 each of light dry malt and dextrose in a 23 litre batch to get that level. So it's a lighter weight pale ale. Sort of just sneaking out, well, sitting in that mid category, if you're not adding any priming sugar to it. Just a nice little fruity nose to the beer. Nice colour. It's pale yellowy gold, not quite pushing straw. As I mentioned earlier, it was apparently the kit is 100% Pilsner malt, so it's actually a little dark for that, so that's probably from the kitting and canning process, but either way, yeah. There's a slight hint of some kittiness in the nose, but only slight. Yeah, that's not too bad. There's a little bit of sweet malt at the front, a little bit of just gentle, fruit bowl sort of effect. It's not a big tropically or a punchy fruit, but just quite light. So you can taste it, but it's not overpowering. And it's probably, for a kit beer, for a straight kit beer, it's probably a reasonable hop note. There's just a little bit of the kit in the finish, but not a lot. Yeah, no, that's quite drinkable. It's cleanish. It's not crisp, but that mix of malt and dex is going to do that. If it was a bit more dex finish, it would probably be a little bit, a bit cleaner and and brighter, but it's a nice mouthfeel, nice finish. Now this is the fella that's got the grains and the extra hops. You can pick that nose on the hops straight away. Still got the similar nose to this fella. There's some melon. Definitely honeydew. And a little bit of light stone fruit. That's not bad. A little light tropical. I said tropically, but it's more a tropical melon finish as opposed to. It's not so much mango and passion fruit, that sort of thing. It's like more melon driven. Got a round smooth malt. I think that's working quite nicely together. So the starting grab on this was 1040, so slightly higher than just the basic kit. Finished at 1010. Had the raku and kawatu at flame out, which was the equivalent of 30 grams of each in a 23 litre batch. Had the same thrown in as a dry hop on day 5. I don't think I've ever used raku before, and I think I may have used kawatu once. Can't even be sure of that. May never have used it before. But both have they've combined to make a nice, soft, hoppy palate. That's quite a nice brew. It's got that soft, you can describe it, pillowy, sort of finish with the mouthfeel. The grain hasn't added anything significant in the way of flavour, apart from the original beer. But that kittiness is not there. It's pretty much either getting overpowered or it's just not noticeable in this version. Okay, yeah, that's a success both ways, without a doubt. The basic kit itself is, as I said, it's fairly nice. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Because it is quite nice. I would probably be suggesting that maybe, like I said, raise the amount of actual fermentables, and I think that it would probably go well leaning on the side of higher on the decks, so possibly even 800 decks and 600 light dry malt, which I think would get you up around a 4% beer, 4 to 4.2% in the keg without priming, and a little bit of dry hop. I think you'd have quite a tasty, fresh, sort of warm weather beer. I think you could get away without doing a hell of a lot to it if you wanted to. I think you would need a decent dry hop to overcome that kittiness. Or certainly a dry hop with enough of a hop that's going to give you a fair impact. But I think the Raku and the Kohaku has actually worked quite nicely. I don't know what each one is bringing individually, but it's a nice note, and I think it's certainly I might be playing around with a little bit more in the future from this. The two might go nicely with some other hops. So it's got a nice got that nice melony flavour. I actually think it'd go really nice with I think it'd go nice with a bit of Sabro and maybe a touch of lemon drop to really, in a really nice tropical pale. I think that they work quite nicely. The melons, get a little bit of coconut and creaminess in there, and finish it off with a little bit of, you know, sour, bitey, lemony citrus finish. Yeah, it could be quite a nice rounded fruit punch. Anyway, but there she is, guys. Another Black Rock kit that's, I've got to say is worth brewing. They continue for me to continue to be good kits. I've not had a bad one yet. They've all made good beers. So comments and questions, stick them down the bottom if you've got them. Do you do Black Rock? Do you do this beer? What do you do with it? Do you use Raku and Kohaku together, separately? What do you do with them? Let us know. Put it down the bottom. Patrons, guys, thank you for your support as always. Big thank you. Links down the bottom in the description. Down there, you can link up to the Patreon to see what it's all about. Subscribers as well, thank you very much for your support. If you aren't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of the videos, you get notified when they come up. And if you're still here sitting here watching, hit the old like button down there. Give me a thumbs up. All keeps the channel going, keeps videos rolling out. Extractaganza, experiments, all grain brews, beer reviews, all that sort of nonsense. It keeps it all going. So anyway, guys, that's me. So till next time, next batch on Extractaganza will be the Cooper's Preachers Hef Wheat. Again, half and half kit, and the other half is going to be dressed up with some malt, and that'll be a few weeks from now. It's done, ready to go. So I'll see you then. Until then, you're brewing beer, drinking beer, talking beer, good brewing. I'm just going to top up and keep going here. They're only little bottles.